Welcome to the Bitcoin.Live webinar. I am Joe Vagonis, the content director for Bitcoin.Live. And today I am joined by one of the premier mentors of Bitcoin.Live, BigCheds. BigCheds, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend. I just want to thank you for the opportunity. And I think we're onto something here. So thank you for inviting me today.
Absolutely. No, it's a real honor to be working with you as well as the other mentors on the platform. Before we get started, I want to thank everybody who's tuning in right now and everyone who will be tuning in. We will be taking questions shortly. So you see that chat down in the right-hand corner of your screen. Feel free to be putting in questions now, and in, say, 20 minutes, we'll get to them. I'll let you guys ask Ched some questions. For now, I'm going to ask him a few questions. So, Big Cheds, are you ready?
I'm ready, man. Give me your best shot.
Sure. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to become a trader. What do you enjoy about it?
Well, there's a lot of things I enjoy about it. Probably the first thing that comes to mind is how it's so dynamic. First of all, crypto trading is even more exciting than regular trading because we have a 24/7 market. So if you could deal with the insomnia, it's perfect for you. It also reminds me a lot of poker, which is one of my my biggest hobbies. And poker combines a lot of analytics and social strategy. And psychology. And my background is in psychology. So, those are some of the things that really interest me in it, given that it's so fast paced, it's so dynamic, and it's a social game, Joe.
I mean, that pretty much encapsulates what I love about trading as well. It's a high that's so rare to find, and you feel so good. And it's kind of like that bittersweet feeling when you're down, you want to feel good again. So I'm definitely looking forward to a lot of your content when you're talking about the psychology of trading.
Oh, absolutely. I know we're going to do a feature where I will have a weekly column, and we're going to have a discussion that will follow that column. And we're going to be exploring a lot of the psychological aspects of trading. One of the easiest examples to point to, Joe, is FOMO, or fear of missing out. And I think I know I've had to deal with that a lot in my development, and I know everyone else does as well. And just kind of, examining things like that and finding strategies and ways to deal with it. And just kind of before we move on, another thing I like about trading and love about it, it kind of reminds me of a video game. You get to watch the chart, the things are moving up and down, and you can buy and sell, and you can do this and that. And it's very similar to kind of the thrill I get in some ways from playing video games, Joe.
You and I have talked a little bit about this before. Before I joined Bitcoin.Live, I was working in the esports industry, and I've noticed that there's a lot of parallels between competitive video games and trading for a living. There is a level that you can get to on your own and be very good, but to really excel at it, you do need a coach, or you need the support of a community. And from my perspective, what I want to bring to it, and this is what I really love about working with you and the other mentors, is there is that support structure, and we are trying to foster that environment in Bitcoin.Live.
No, I think it's brilliant. I think we're on the right track, and I'm just once again honored to be involved with this.
So that kind of leads me into my next question for you. Is trading an easy skill to learn? And what is your approach to teaching trading?
I mean, you can learn it. I mean, just like poker, it takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master. So anybody can open a brokerage account, put some money in there, and buy a stock or buy a coin, a token. And, and maybe it will go up, for a couple of days, and they think they figured it out. But really, the only way to learn is to make a lot of mistakes over a long period of time, to examine those mistakes and to slowly refine your strategy and find a method that works for you. My approach to teaching is really you have to start with, what someone's trying to do. If they're a trader, you want to teach them how to recognize short and medium-term signals. If someone's an investor, perhaps you want them to learn about fundamental analysis. And you want to teach them about the psychology of it, when to take profit, and essentially just the right mindset and how to read longer-term signals. So I think an individual approach is what I like to do, and I try to teach people my simple method, Joe. Or what I believe to be my simple method of chart reading as well.
Okay, that leads into my next question for you. You talk a little bit about the medium and long-term strategies, about being able to know when to exit a trade, when to enter a trade, when you spot it. So what do you want people to know about you and what you will offer on Bitcoin.Live?
I think this is a good opportunity for people to find out a little bit about who I am. And I've been around for a long time. And what I want people to know is that when I started, I kind of got killed. I lost a lot of money and I made a lot of mistakes, but I survived. And the reason I survived is there were some people who looked out for me and taught me and kind of took me along. And now that I'm here and I'm in this position, and I like to teach the people, teach the next generation, and kind of, have people avoid some of the really bad mistakes I made early on. So that's kind of my approach. And Bitcoin Live is a great opportunity to do that. The format you guys are putting together. We're going to have a live chat where we can interact. We can talk about what's going on in the moment. We're also going to have the kind of a longer form series with these columns, and we're going to have the discussion in these columns. And the people are going to have access to really some brilliant minds in this space. And the people who want to take the time and they want to interact and they want to teach and they want to mentor. And I'm just excited about what we're doing here.
Yeah, no, I keep saying it because it's true though. I'm excited about it because I think there's a real opportunity for you guys to collaborate. There's certain things I'm not saying at the moment because I want them to be a nice surprise for everyone who signs up.
You haven't told me yet. I don't even know.
I've told you some, of course.
Okay.
But you and I have collaborated, like you said, on doing some columns. We're going to do some running features and some running articles like that. The thing I'm really excited about is, as you said, is being able to have that one-on-one, that interactiveness with the community, with the subscribers of the platform, and really just give that personal touch, give that coaching session, that mentor session, and a lot of the examples you've shown me, when someone's they're not sure, they're uncertain, you give them that little pick me up. Or if they're getting a little too cocky, you give them that little kick in the butt.
Absolutely. I think anybody can put out a list of something to buy or kind of like points to look at, but this is much more comprehensive. We're going to kind of look at the whole aspect of trading, of investing, and kind of give you the complete ability to win this game or to succeed in it.
Yeah. So what is it about cryptocurrencies that excite you?
The thing I like about it is there's just a lot of action. I mean, cryptocurrency, first of all, is 24/7. And for the longest time playing stocks, I remember there's a feeling, the market closed at 4 o'clock. I get a little depressed, a little bit of withdrawal, just to be honest here, folks, and I like the fact that crypto's 24/7. So, at first you're like, oh, how do I deal with the 24/7 market? But when you're able to finally tame the beast, and just survive in this ecosphere, it's just a great market. There's a lot of action. I like anything on a chart. I like how crypto, there's volume, so the signals have value. And one of the biggest problems in technical analysis is when you have weak volume, you have a weak signal. So you don't get that so much in crypto, and you can really plot things out. You could do trend lines. You can look at patterns. You could do candlestick analysis, which I'm a big fan of. So I like that about crypto. It's also new. I feel like we're at the ground floor. I feel like it's just going to keep evolving. It's interesting. And I don't know how much time we have, but there's a lot I like about it.
Are you concerned? Like, there's a lot of people who are negative on cryptocurrencies. They think it's, they're all going to zero, or most of them are going to zero. Do you think that's a short-term concern? Or do you think there's, some real opportunities for people to make some serious money when it comes to cryptocurrency?
I mean, if some people didn't say that, then something would be wrong. I mean, that's just how anything works in life. There's always a slow evolution. There's a paradigm shift that takes place over time. So, okay, fine. You have Buffett and Gates who say it's going to go to zero, but they've already made their money and they're on top of the hill. And cryptocurrencies is in many ways in every person's game. And a lot of the reason why people like it is people in these developing countries have access to it that potentially wouldn't have access to traditional banking. And that's just one reason why, one aspect. But, if some people didn't like it, if a lot of people didn't like it, that would be a red flag for me. Because, anything is a 55-45 if you poll it, right? I mean, that's just how life works.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I don't know as much about trading as you do, but I do trade. And I know that part of what makes markets is that difference. There's an equal weight of buyers and sellers.
Yes, great point. That's a great point.
All right, so I got one more question before I'm going to turn it over to the slide, so you can talk a little bit about what you're going to offer, and then we're going to give our great audience an opportunity to chime in as well. So, what do you make of all like the teenage pump and dumpers that are hyping altcoins? How from your perspective, how is Bitcoin Live different?
Well, I think it makes sense that in a market like this that's expanding really fast. Like we had this explosion back in November, right? And Coinbase was signing up whatever, 500,000 a day or whatever it was. When you have that many people and that much money flooding in the market, a lot of people are just looking for a quick answer, an easy answer. So that's when you have people to pop up to fill that need, right? Hey, I'm going to give you a prediction. Give me $50 and here's my prediction, right? So that makes sense. You're going to see that. And what I like about this is that this is, when people ask around, hey, where do I go if I really want to know, like if I want the best in class, what is the best in class educational platform for crypto? I mean, the obvious answer is going to be Bitcoin.Live. I mean, it's, if you look who's involved, Peter Brandt, Hygiene Crypto, Tone Vase, See the Lightning, Bob Lucas, and myself, it's pretty much as good as it gets. And, just as an aside, for years, people have been asking me, why don't you do a premium service? Why don't you have a newsletter? Why don't you have a whatever? And, I just like to give back. Because like I said, I got burned really hard early. I survived. I like to help people. But when I saw this opportunity to be involved with these brilliant minds, with these people in this space, I said, this is something I can put my name behind. This is something that we will be able to make a large impact, and I will be proud to be part of it. And I think that's what makes Bitcoin.Live different, Joe.
Awesome. So I know you can see the screen in front of you. So this is where I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell me when you're ready to move on to the next slides. I think we have a pretty good idea, but I'm going to let you start talking through about, what you're going to offer on the Bitcoin.Live site.
That's excellent. I'm ready to go. So, one thing I like about it is that it's going to be interactive, right? So people, when they have a question, it's not, sometimes when I ask someone else a question and they give me an answer, I don't always understand everything I want to understand in that one answer. I want to ask a follow-up. And that's why an interactive format is important. So it's important to, figure out what's your question, pin it down, figure out a way to approach it, and sometimes it's not even the answer to the question that's important. It's how you even approach the question and kind of looking at your mindset as a trader. Are you approaching a trade out of are you chasing it because you have FOMO? Are you trading out of weakness because you've been losing a lot of money, so you want to force your next trade? Or are you just bored, so you're looking for something to play? So you've got to kind of identify where someone's coming from, and approach problems that way. And I think that's why the interactive nature of Bitcoin.Live is going to be great, Joe.
Yeah, I have a couple more examples on the next slide. Like what I have displayed on the screen, these are some past examples of you interacting, with the people that are following you, that are asking you for advice. The Bitcoin.Live platform is going to be really unique. We're going to have the traditional chat rooms that you're used to seeing for like the past 20 years on the internet. We're also going to have chat rooms similar to if you're using Twitch. We'll have the ability to do live videos and a cascading chat room on the side. So there's going to be that real-time interactive nature to the Bitcoin.Live platform. And I was just going to say, here's another example, some more examples of what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's exciting. Yeah, I mean, so essentially, I try to see where people are coming from. So I'm looking at here at the left, we have the person who says, I need a dip, I've lost a lot of money. And I'm trying to get this person to take it seriously. If you keep having mistakes, have you put in the time to study? I have a lot of people come to me and I say, well, did you study those candlestick patterns? Because there's an obvious signal that you would have seen if you were paying attention, if you put in the time. And something like this, where it takes a minute to learn and a lifetime to master, I mean, you're not going to get any better unless you put in the time. So I think that's a little bit of what I was trying to say here at the left. Go ahead and read my guide. I do have the complete guide to cryptocurrency trading. We're going to incorporate on Bitcoin.Live. We're going to make it even better, and I'm going to continually add some more content to that. But I think the word coach is a good word. I've always tried to kind of think of myself in that way, that I want to help people, and I want to I want to see them do better. Because if they learn, then they don't need to keep asking me questions. I can go help someone else. You want to kick the bird out of the nest so they can fly too, Joe.
Yeah, and to that effect, I'm a big fan of paying it forward. And one of the things that I want to encourage as the creative director is to the subscribers of if you've learned something from one of the mentors, or if you've got your own tips and tricks, feel free to include that in the forums, in the chat rooms. I will be keeping an eye on it. I'll have some of my colleagues keep an eye on it, and we're going to recognize people that really try to build a positive community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are a lot of great people in this community, and I mean, obviously, the ones that are involved in this project are some of them, some of the best.
Yeah. All right. So our next slide is about some of your original content you're going to be adding to the site.
Yeah, so there's a lot of a lot of subjects I can choose from because I've been kind of thinking about these things over the years, and I've been writing about them on my blog, and I just have a lot of things to say, and I think some of these ideas need to be fleshed out. Like for example, risk management, and it's different for everybody. Some people have a huge bankroll, and they'll come in and they don't mind throwing up $10,000 to short something. Other people maybe only have 1,000 and they want to spread it out 100 in each. And just let it ride. Or maybe they want to, make a 1 hour trade and try to make 10%. So you got to figure out risk management, whatever your risk management strategy is, and you have to figure out how to properly execute that. And a lot of the time that involves something like a stop loss, that involves taking profit at key levels. And it really involves how you size your positions, scaling in and scaling out. So that was like I could have written 8 columns. Essentially just what I just said, taking any of those things and stretch them out, those ideas, trading discipline, talking about, what your strategy is and your plan ahead of time and sticking to it. So if you've been watching something and waiting for it to fall to a certain level and you want it to go down and that's your plan, but then you jump the gun, because you've read a tweet somewhere that someone said it was going to the moon, stick to your plan, have discipline, approach it rationally, and be productive and be successful, hopefully. So, I mean, there's so many beautiful and wonderful topics to kind of approach. Obviously, candlestick analysis. I am a big proponent of Japanese candlesticks. I like to say the price volume will tell you everything. I don't like, the news. If there's news, you're going to see it on the chart. And in the chart will be these candles, and they are crazy accurate. I love using Japanese candlesticks and patterns. One of the things I talk about is it's like muscle memory, Joe. Pattern recognition. You need to get to a point where you kind of look at a chart and within a few seconds, you kind of see a pattern, and then you get that good gut read. That takes some time to develop. So you have to put in the time. You have to learn the patterns. You have to understand what they mean when they form. And so that's something we can approach and we can discuss with the people. Here you're just kind of showing a little bit of a very basic tutorial on how to use some of the indicators I like to use, the Bollinger Bands right there. And I talk about how to use the Bollinger Bands, a Bollinger Band squeeze. At the right, something that I like to talk about, a big mistake is comparing yourself to others. So let's see, you say your trading friend, he's got $1 million bankroll. He's making all this money and you're sitting here with a smaller bankroll, you're feeling bad to yourself. It's not about that. Like, you can only live your life, right? And like death is, comparison is the death of joy. So all you can do is reach your maximum and avoid your mistakes, making those mistakes and make good plays. I mean, so comparing yourself to others, big mistake. We can talk about that. Over trading. If you're bored, something in poker that I did all the time, overplaying. You're sitting around your board, you start playing a hand you shouldn't. It's the exact same thing with trading. Forcing a setup, going early. I mean, all these things can be disastrous in the long term. You have to be aware of these things in order to improve at them, Joe.
Yeah, no, I'm guilty of it. I fully admit I've been investing for a few years, but I started trading this year, and I've lost about $1,000 in everything you just described. Pretty much doing all of that.
We all do. We all go through these things. That's why it's important to talk about them. And a lot of times, the things that we all go through, we never talk about because we're embarrassed about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing you gotta do. At least for me, the first step is being able to admit failure, because I've always believed that in order to succeed, you have to learn from it.
What do you mean? How else are you going to know? The only reason you know how to do something right is because you've done it wrong before. It's just how it works. You gotta do it that way.
All right, so now we're going to turn it over to the audience, and I've got a few good questions here from the audience. I'll start with Jasper Shastri.
But only the pre-screened questions that we agreed to in advance, Joe.
Okay, so what were those again?
All right, just go for it.
Okay. Is my main man Big Jonas going to be having guest spots like Nate Dogg and Dr. Dre have records?
I think he should. I think he has a great format. He brings a great perspective, and he's an important part of my trading world. I think down the road, I'm sure he'll be doing something like that, and I would be a fan.
I can say I'm a fan too. I mean, I watch you guys' videos as often as I can, and there's great chemistry there. You guys really do work well together.
Maybe I've known the guy forever. He's one of my best friends, no question.
Let's see. We're going to go with Day Trading King next, and he wants to know how often will your posting be, and what type of content will be different from, say, what you have on Twitter.
So so I'll answer the second question first. What's different is I'm going to take some of these themes I've put on Twitter, and I'm going to pull them out into a kind of a long form. So I have an idea, and you see a tweet. It's maybe 100 characters. Let's turn that into a discussion. Let's really stretch that idea out. Look at the pros and cons, and look at it from every angle. So that's what's different. What was the first part, Joe? I apologize.
No, that's fine. He said, how often will your content be posted?
Yeah, my content's going to be posted as much as is as needed. My goal is going to be to fill the needs that are there. I'm on all the time. I love doing what I do, so I'm just going to be there as much as is as needed.
Okay, I've got another one from Rishi 8383, and I think I can answer this one, but I'll let you talk to it as well. Question is, can we replay the lessons again? And I will say yes. All of the content, all the lessons, all the learning will be on demand.
Yeah, absolutely. And from what I understand, we're going to continue to build it over time like an archive. So that's something to look forward to.
Yes, I think you and I have talked about a lot of what we're calling timeless versus topical content. So a lot of the timeless content will be the basic education stuff, a lot of the things that you've worked on in the past, and we're going to enhance a lot of that, make it easier to digest in ways that you can access on any of your devices, anywhere you want to go, whenever you need it. We've got that. And then the topical content is a lot of the stuff that people can already expect to get from you, real-time alerts. We have an alert system, so all you have to do is sign up for that when you're part of the platform, and you'll get a notice from BigCheds, whether it's a price alert, an entry point, anything that he wants to let you know in real time, he can ping you.
I love it. I'm excited.
Rishi 83's got another question for us. He wants to know, in what crypto can we pay the lessons?
I don't know, my friend. That's above my pay grade.
I'm gonna have to turn that one over to our master of ceremonies, the king of Bitcoin.Live, as it were. I got another one from Arlton Gilbert. Any book recommendations?
There's a lot of great books out there. Obviously, I would read Peter Brandt's book because the guy is brilliant. But to be honest, I've never really read a lot of trading books. I just watch a lot of videos on YouTube, and I learned by trial and error. Growing up, I didn't like to read books either. Maybe I got distracted. I wanted to do something else. But I can absorb information better through video. I'm a visual learner. And so I would say videos, I could give you good video recommendations, but what we're going to put together, but books, maybe not the best guy to ask, other than Peter Brandt's book, of course.
Okay. We've got one from Tomas Valenzuela, and I can't say that last name. That one threw me for a loop. Which videos do you recommend?
So I learned a lot from Stock Goodies Chart School on YouTube. They do a really good job. They kind of, and the guy, he's just very, very straightforward, kind of walking you through a couple examples. And I had fun, watching, there's like whatever, 30, 40 videos, trying different indicators. And I think it's important that people try different things and find out what works for them. The reason why trading is interesting is there's so many different ways to trade. There's so many different methods. My method is a simple volume style, candlestick heavy, Bollinger Band heavy. But you have Elliott wave traders, for example. There's just lots of different methods. And what I like about the videos is that you can kind of just try things out and see what works for you.
Okay. I'm going to go over our next slide. I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to get in their last minute questions so you can talk a little bit about the platform and working with everybody.
Okay.
So this is, so as we've mentioned a few times, this is a collaboration with 5 mentors, 5 analysts, and it's really about building the community. So tell us a little bit about what attracted you to working with the rest of the team, and what do you anticipate really, like, the things you want to hammer home on launch day, or within the launch day launch week?
Well, I mean, it's pretty clear, at least to me, that there's nothing like this around, and I think it's just a great idea that's now looks like it's gonna happen, and it's gonna get better too every day. I mean, I'm gonna get better as a mentor and as a trader, and everyone involved here who's already amazing. They keep working at it. So this is something that I think you want to get in ground floor if you're someone who's looking for a best in class educational platform. That's kind of how I think about it. I mean, there's no other really good way to look at it than being a best in class educational platform. Um, like I said, for years, people would ask me, why won't you do a premium? Hey, if I give you my money, will you run my trading account for me? And I don't want to do that. I like to teach people how to fish. I always have, teach a man to fish and they can feed himself for a lifetime. And this gives me an opportunity to do that. And we're also going to take what I've been doing in the past through my blog, and we're going to make it even better. And so it's like the learning material grows, and every idea is more refined. I'm going to learn a lot working with all these guys. I mean, there's just a lot of talent, and you're when you're challenged by people around you who are doing a really good job, you have to do a really good job. It raises the bar for you. So it's like if you go somewhere where everyone's lazy and slacking off, you're more likely to be lazy and slack off. But when you're involved with hardworking, dedicated professionals like this, I mean, the only thing you can do is be a hardworking, dedicated professional. And I'm just really, really excited to see where this goes, Joe. That's where I'm coming from.
No, for sure. I like what you just said about going to a place where you're working and you see people who are slacking off and don't have that motivation. I've been in a lot of those jobs in the past few years, and eventually it just wears on you. But I can tell you, talking to you, talking to Hygiene, talking to Bob, to Dean of See the Light, talking to Peter, talking to Tone, the enthusiasm is there. And that gets me up in the morning. That makes me want to come in, put in the extra hours. And this is my favorite job I've ever had. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. And I think we're going to do some really special things, because I think enthusiasm carries projects a long way. And I really hope that the audience shares that enthusiasm.
You know what it feels like? It feels like an NBA offseason with one of the teams just signed 5 All-Stars and everyone's complaining it's rigged. And you know what I mean? And
yes.
they're gonna. I mean, that's just how I feel. I'm sorry if that's boastful, but I mean, I am honored to be involved with this, and I think this is something really special.
Yeah, I've got another question here from Anon Null. He wants to know what your opinion is about Elliott waves.
Elliott waves are very effective if used by a master. It's one of those things that, given that it's so subjective, it's really, and it's really easy to just kind of guess. So here's where wave 3 ends, and then 4 is going to be here and 5 is going to be there. And fun. I always like to look at, people ask me what's your target, and I say, let me wait and see what the candlesticks are. And I just live in the moment. I don't like to predict out. I'm right here. This is where it's at. Now we'll see what happens next. Now we'll see what happens next. And Elliott waves are kind of like about predicting. And so I guess it's just not my style, but I know a couple of excellent Elliott wave traders, and I know they do quite well.
Yes, I know that Hygiene is absolutely a 100% true believer, endorser of Elliott waves. I do see a question there from who had it? I forget. Oh, Jasper had it. He wanted to know, when does Hygiene have his webinar? We're going to be scheduling. Every analyst on the site is going to be having a webinar. Hygiene's webinar is on May 21st. We will be keeping everyone up to date on that. So I'm really happy everyone's tuning in right now. We are beginning to wrap up the webinar. Let me see. I think this is where everyone can sign up. If you haven't signed up already, please go to that link, getBitcoin.Live/BigCheds. BigCheds, any final thoughts on this?
Once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited to see how this all plays out. I mean, this is a market where it's really hard to know who to trust. You know, if a lot of people out there promising, $50,000 to Bitcoin by next week or Litecoin 1,500, and it's really easy to get burned. And I think this is going to be just a great place, something I can be proud of. I can put my name behind, where somebody who's just new wants to know where to go. Where can I go to learn? I mean, this is going to be the answer. So I'm really pleased. I'm really honored to be part of it. And thank you for letting me voice a little bit of what I believe I can bring to the table and make this project even better.
BigCheds, this was awesome. We've had a fun 30 minutes talking and introducing you to the Bitcoin.Live community. As I keep saying, I'm really excited to work with you.
It's going to be an honor. It has been an honor. Thank you.
All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned in this coming month. We're going to be having a webinar with each of the mentors. We're going to be able to answer more of your questions. So stay tuned to Bitcoin.Live, and thank you.
Take care, everyone.